97 wins.
And the Brewers with their 97th win.
Champs of the Central.
Like I've always said, it's about the who that's in the room. And these are the right guys. They know how to play. They know how to win.
The number one seed.
What ball to deep right? It is way back.
Is this the year that results in a championship? It's time for the Fan Playoff Preview Show with Tommy Wirtz on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan.
Yes, it is the Fan Postseason Preview Show. Tommy Wirtz here with you. Drew Wagner going to join us as well all throughout the week. Milwaukee Brewers postseason action beginning this weekend. We've already had some postseason games in play today. Tigers 2-1 over the Guardians. Cubs 3-1 over the Padres. I will say this, that with scores like that, gives you maybe a little bit of optimism for Brewers baseball in the postseason, right? If it's going to depend a lot on the pitching matchups as opposed to the offense for either club. Skubal, I mean, that guy is just gross, by the way. Tariq Skubal, 14 Ks today in game one. I will say this, if you're looking ahead, that Padres-Cubs series is going to be the opponent of the Milwaukee Brewers in the NLDS. Since 2022, every single team that won game one of that NL wildcard series won the series. Every single team. So, by that math, Chicago Cubs coming to Milwaukee. That's just what's always happened since 2022. Maybe the different case, I think the Padres are still a very alive team in this postseason. I still think that they're actually one of the teams that I think could win. I know everyone can win, right, once you get there. But, let's be real. The Guardians are toast. They're done. They're not going to do it. Padres, I still believe, have very high hopes for their postseason play. But, again, history tells you Cubs are coming to Milwaukee. That's what's supposed to happen, at least. It is the Fan Postgame Show. No, it's not. It's the Fan Playoff Preseason Show. Usually it's the Fan Postgame Show here at this same time slot. Drew Wagner going to join us on the other side. He was so kind to send over some sound. I'll play for you. We got Sal Frelick, Isaac Collins, the manager, Pat Murphy. That'll all come up in the show. But I did want to have a little discussion because our guy Kurt Hogue over at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, him and Todd Rosiak made some predictions on the playoff roster. I think they collaborated. It's not two different lists. It's one list. And the first four men off the NLDS roster, I think, is an interesting point. So if you want to tell me who you think is going to be left off, or you want to get, by the end of the show, I would like to do some NLDS starting nine on the lineup and who's going to be a part of this team. Where I look first is the first four men off here. Logan Henderson, I think the injury kind of affects him there. Grant Anderson, I think the stuff affects him there. Tobias Myers and Rhys Hoskins all left off the 26-man NLDS roster projection, at least. This is just a projection from Kurt Hogue and Todd Rosiak. Meaning, the man who is replacing Rhys Hoskins would be Brandon Lockridge on the offensive side. Some of the pitchers that we saw, Rob Zastryzny at the back end, DL Hall as well. And looking across it, it's a great article in which he ranks, gives a little bit of information about each of them as well. Here's the lineup, or at least the roster. Danny Jansen, Brandon Lockridge, D.L. Hall, Andrew Monasterio, Rob Zastryzny, Isaac Collins, Blake Perkins, Caleb Durbin, Joey Ortiz, Nick Mears, Jose Quintana, Sal Frelick, Jake Bowers, Chad Patrick, Jared Koenig, Andrew Vaughn, Trevor McGill, Jacob Mizorowski, Aaron Ashby, Abner Uribe, Bryce Terang, Christian Yelich, Jackson Churio, William Contreras, Quinn Priester, Freddie Peralta. Anyone on that list surprising? Anyone not on that list surprising? Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text Line 414-677-1250. That's the number if you want to join on. I'll take your calls, text messages, but it's all Brewers baseball here for the next hour or so. The way I read that was the ranking Kurt Hogue had developed for that roster. 26-1. As far as least important, least impactful to most important, most impactful, if you will. Some names that surprised me in the order, at least, is when you go to that middle of the pack. Number 13 was Chad Patrick. Number 14 was Jake Bowers. And number 15 was Sal Frelick. Is that not a little interesting? You think, look, I'm a big Jake Bowers fan myself, but he's going to be more important than Sal Frelick during this playoff push? I don't know about that. Joining us now, Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law, co-host of this show, joins me on the leadoff show. You can follow him on Twitter, @Andrew It is Drew Wagner joining us here on the Fan Postseason Preview show. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Mr. Wagner. How are we doing today?
It's been a rip-roaring day of watching dudes play catch.
Yeah, right. Is that what's going on? Drew Wagner down at American Family Field. Been there all day, all evening, afternoon, whatever it is. And they're going to wrap up at about 5:30 for some more media availability, I know. But how has today gone as a whole, other than the catch, Mr. Wagner?
The catch. Oh yeah, them playing catch. Sorry, my brain is a little fried. I mean, it's very spring training like. Like I was telling Sparky before, the only difference is, it's not 8:00 in the morning. We're not in Arizona, and I'm not ferociously hungover. Other than that, it's very spring training like. They're going through drills, they're throwing live BPs. They're just, I don't want to say they're going through the motions, but they're going through what seems like a usual day in Arizona. Obviously, the stakes are a lot higher. I'm not surprised that today wasn't as intense as some might have thought. I mean, you're coming off a 162 game grind. You did earn the top seed. You did earn a bye. You did earn a chance to rest. So yeah, it's not surprising that they're not going full blown hardcore today, though the live BP did get a little heated there. But yeah, it's kind of what you expected. They're just going through everything. For a team that's so heavily based on fundamental play, I'm not surprised at all that they're going through a lot of basic fundamental drills today.
Well, and it seemed like they lost a little bit of that when they got into that sputter, right? I mean, August, it was just clear as day. Like, you can tell this team does everything right and is providing so much pressure to make sure their opponent does everything right. Otherwise, they will capitalize. In September, it was like, let's get to the finish line, and they do that. They get to the 97 wins. They're tops the division. They're the top seed in the National League Central. Do you expect, from what you've seen today, though, Drew, that the intensity will ramp up throughout the week? I know they had the game on in the background, obviously on the small jumbotron there, too, paying attention to that. What do you think the progression is of the week here with the Brewers and their preview to the postseason?
You brought it up that they had the game on one of the video boards in the outfield, and I think that's when you're going to start to see stuff rank up. If they're on the field tomorrow working out, and that Cubs Padres game is on again, and the Cubs close it out, and then who you're playing, what's going on. I think that's when it becomes real, so to speak. That's when, like, okay, now we're back to work. We know who we're playing. We know when we start. They'll probably have the game times not long after that. I think that's when it starts to kick in. Yeah, I would expect even without, even if that does go to 3 games, I would expect them to start ramping up the intensity a little bit more every day. Come Thursday, they'll probably have a fairly intense scrimmage, I would assume. We're not going to be invited to it, but I would assume that they're going to ramp up. They don't want to shut guys completely down. They don't want to have guys going full bore all week because, again, they earned the chance to take a breather, get some rest, heal up, recover. But yeah, you have to ease back into it.
Looking at what you've seen already today, Drew, there's been some guys up there that were just kind of being a part of this whole week. Easton McGee, Tobias Myers. I know Anthony Siegler, Jefferson Cuero, right? Those were some names that were going to be a part of this week. Anyone standing out?
He wants me to tell Sparky that he says hello. Sparky missed it.
I really hope that was true. I don't think you understand how badly I hope that was an actual interaction that Anthony Siegler was like, tell Sparky I said hi. That would make my week. So I'm going to choose to believe you that that's exactly what happened. If it didn't happen, don't tell me. I'm just going to choose to believe from now on. But of those guys that really weren't a part of this big league club, like, how are they fitting in right now during this week? And how are they trying to maybe prove themselves? I do think that we'll probably see one of those guys that was named on those 8 that will be a part of this NLDS roster in some capacity.
Well, listen, here's the thing, most important beyond everything else is they're here because there is a chance that they might be needed. And that's important to note. If there is an injury, if something goes wrong, one of those guys is the guy that's going to get the call. And that means that they have shown something to warrant the team having enough confidence that if they do need somebody, they're one of those guys. Beyond that, I think it's important to get the experience. We've talked a lot in a story that I'm working on this week is this whole culture thing that we hear so much about the Brewers. And I don't mean the whole goofy power of friendships or power, just the culture that has been instilled here over the last almost decade now, where what is happening is now the baseline. This is what is expected of a team. Being a division champion, being in the playoff field, being one of the best in baseball, making a run in the playoffs is the baseline. It is the expectation. It is the expectation when you walk into camp for the first time in February. Having those guys around here and seeing the preparation that takes place at the major league level, getting a taste of what postseason baseball is like at the big league level. I mean, how do you not, if you're a young minor leaguer trying to break your way into the big leagues, how do you not take that and put that in your back pocket and use it to motivate you and drive you? So I think that's a huge part of it. But again, at the end of the day, they are here for a reason, and that is they might be needed.
What about Drew Wagner, Tommy Wirtz here? It is the Fan Postseason Preview show. We are talking Brewers baseball as they have the week off. They'll be back in action this weekend for the NLDS. Cubs won today in the matchup. It'll be the winner of that Cubs and Padres series. Drew, did it feel a little more intense this week than it did versus like last week, so to say, right? I mean, this is a team that we saw for the first time really look ahead in September, and they were very in the moment until September. Does it feel like they're back in the moment? Does it feel like there is that drive now? Hey, we heard a little bit. I heard a little bit of what I'm going to play on air in the next segment here from Sal Frelick, but the goal, whenever you ask them, is always win the World Series, right? And does it feel like that intensity ramped up a little bit today, comparing it to maybe last week when they already knew they were going to be in the postseason and they knew they won the National League Central?
I mean, I've said this because we've talked about it in different contexts several times this season. Like, I did not see anything different today than I saw 2 weeks ago, than I saw 2 months ago when they were middle of that winning streak, than I saw 4 months ago when they were still flailing around 500, and that I saw almost 6 months ago now when they were 0-4 and couldn't get an out to save their life and couldn't get a hit to save their life. Like, it seems like exactly the same. The only thing that seemed different in the clubhouse today was they were, commenting on how many strangers there were in the clubhouse. Because, of course, every Tom, Dick, and Harry from across the state shows up today, shoving their camera in there like they, live here. But other than that, it has felt very businesslike from day one of camp. It has felt very motivated, driven, and focused from day one of camp. Even after they clinched it, you didn't feel much of a drop off because they knew they still had work to do. And listen, I think it's a matter of they've known from their first meeting in Arizona what they want to do this season, and they know what they have to do that. And I feel like that has been the intensity every day. It's not a matter of coming into work fired up. It's a matter of coming into work ready to work. And I think that's what's worked for this team. I don't think this team is good enough to run on emotion alone and to go on intensity and fire. They don't, I hate to sound like Pat Murphy, but they are not one of those teams that just has raw superstar talent. They have to work to get their victories, to get to where they want to go. And that's been the attitude that I've noticed from day one.
And do you see that as a benefit or a con heading into the postseason, Drew?
I mean, it depends on how you look at it. A question that I asked Pat Murphy today is, listen, your entire mantra for 2 years has been win tonight, and your guys have bought into that. And, not trying to diminish it as nothing more than a slogan, because it really is a philosophy. It is an ethos. It is a standard operating procedure. I said, that pretty much is the name of the game in the postseason. What do I always talk about when Mitch or Mace, they start talking about how they should go in and sweep this series? And my response is always, well, you can't win 3 until you win 2, and you can't win 2 until you win 1. You go into each series knowing you have to win 3 games or 4 games. But you can't do that until you win the first one. And you can't worry about what comes after that, because tonight's going to be hard enough. So I think it applies very well. And I think it helps, going back to your question, I think it helps the Brewers in the postseason, because they've basically lived with that mantra, from day one of the Murphy era.
Drew Wagner, Tommy Wirtz here with you. I know you got Pat Murphy coming up at 5:30. Is that what are you expecting to get out of that compared to what you got beforehand?
I'm not sure we're for sure going to get Pat Murphy. All I know is that we're able to get players coming off. So I'm going to try and catch up on interviews that I need for other stuff. One thing I can report is everyone else tweeted this out during the presser earlier today. We were told during Murphy's availability that there was going to be an announcement on Brandon Woodruff today, and we've had several sources now tell us no, actually there's no announcement coming, and it kind of boggles the mind, like what is going on here. I mean, common sense dictates, one, he's for sure not going to pitch in the NLDS. Like it just doesn't seem likely at all. And 2, it's hard to see them ramping him back up for an NLCS run. By then you're looking at almost 3 weeks that he's been sidelined, and I don't know if he's throwing or not, but obviously they're not going to have him doing too much with that lat situation. So yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Well, then why not get an answer then right away about that, Drew? Right? Doesn't that
we've all been asking? That's the question that we've all been asking. We've heard a couple times now that an announcement will come. We're like, well, what's to be announced? I mean, common sense says, okay, this is it. So why not just say it and get it over with? But yeah, we'll try and dig more, and hopefully we'll have some answers. If not today, we won't have availability again until Friday. But hopefully we'll have some answers soon. I think we all know the answer at this point, Tommy. Like, let's be real here.
Right. And I would also think, Drew, that then the answer would be out by now. So it almost feels like a surprise in the chamber right here, Drew.
Well, and that's the thing. Like it doesn't make sense that you'd have him come back. Like all signs point to this isn't going to happen. So why are you stretching this out? Why? I don't know. There are a million things in this world that I will never understand. Math, politics, dating, and professional sports communications.
Well, Pat Murphy's communication is probably up there. You speak a little bit of Murph, but you're never fluent in Pat by any means, for sure.
Oh, I'm gonna tell him that one. I like that. He'll like it.
You'll like that. You speak a little bit of Murph, never fluent in Pat. Yeah,
I'm conversational, not fluent.
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it. And he knows it on the other side too, which is the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And it's really an art to watch him talk, because it might seem like he's trying to play nonchalant about it, but he's aware of everything that's going on. He's the history teacher that made fun of the kid in the front row who never knew it was actually happening. We all were there at one point. Drew, I'll let you get over there. We're going to hit a break. Update us via text if I have anything to report on Woody or anything else, my friend.
Yeah, I'll try and hop on for the last segment after we get our availability. Otherwise, hey, we're doing this all week, right, buddy? 5 to 6.
Absolutely. Yep, 5 to 6 all week. We'll have some Brewers baseball preview before the postseason. As we said, I think Yankees and Red Sox are about to get first pitch underway if they haven't already.
Hey, little known fact before I go.
Yeah.
Did you know that the New York Yankees and Boston Red Sox are longtime rivals?
Oh,
historic
really?
rivals.
Do you know that Babe Ruth was once traded for like a nickel and a blueberry muffin at lunchtime too? I've heard that one a bunch of times. That's not real, but it might as well have been.
Here's how much of a sicko I am. The musical, the play that the Red Sox owner financed with the money he got in the Babe Ruth trade was No No Nanette.
Okay. What's the main character in No No Nanette?
Hell if I know. I just know it's that.
Right.
So I'll try and hop on at the end of the segment, the end of the show here today. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to doing this with you for an hour every day, all week.
Let's do it. If you do join, same thing I sent you before. Join the same exact way. All right, Mr. Wagner. We'll talk soon.
Sounds good, buddy.
There he is, Drew Wagner, Forbes Sports, joining us here. He's going to go grab some availability with the players at 5:30. Maybe we see him at the back end. It is the Fan Postseason Preview Show. We are live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Welcome back. Fan Postseason Preview Show, 5 to 6 for the rest of this week. The Fan Post Game Show will return, don't worry. But we just wanted to focus a lot on some Brewers baseball. I got a text in here. I don't know if it was this man waiting on, but asking if we take calls. We do. It's the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250. You could be like my guy Ken over in the Falls joining us now here. Ken, how we doing today, my friend?
Tommy, if I were any better, I would know what to do with myself. I love it that there's actually a station in this town that has a Brewer postseason show on daily. My goodness.
Yeah, why not, right? Let's do it here for a little bit here. We can all talk about the brand new lineup from 6 to 6 all day long, but the Brewers are in the postseason, baby. I mean, it's time to get a little excited about it. What's on your mind here, Ken?
Here, it's not even that so much that the Brewers are in the postseason. They're the best damn team in baseball.
Yeah. You're right.
What the hell is going on, Milwaukee radio, Milwaukee TV? You would think that they're just but they made it in by the skin of their teeth playoffs.
Yeah, they're good.
No, this is the best damn team in baseball, and they're going to show it. And I love it that the Cubs win today. Tomorrow the Padres win. Then on Thursday the Cubs win. I want the Cubs so bad it's not even.
Why do you want the Cubs so bad, Ken? Why do you want the Cubs so bad?
One, I want everybody to see Greg Counsell's, the look on his face when they get swept 3 straight, which is going to be outstanding. But even more so, there's been so much talk about these guys all year, how great they are. Oh, they're this, they're that. No, they're not. They blew a huge lead in the division.
Sure.
Because the Brewers were able to capitalize as they built their chemistry and move forward throughout the season. This team is phenomenal, and I have to say something about your, I listen to all these people that are supposedly insiders, and oh God, they know everything about the team, and oh Jesus, and I know everybody likes to have those guys on, but I will tell you this: I do agree mostly with what you said about the 4 guys that are going to be off the roster, at least 3 of them. I do believe it'll be Henderson, Anderson, and Hoskins, but I also believe you're going to see Yastrzemski. He will not be on this lineup because Woodruff is going to be announced tomorrow that he is starting, and he will be starting in Game 3.
I mean, we just had Drew on. I'm sure you heard that, and they said that they're going to make this announcement, but then they keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. So
it's called gamesmanship.
It looks like it, right? The roster doesn't need to be final until the morning of Game 1, so they have time to do this, right, Ken? And they can work their way out, but. Again, I agree with you a little bit here, Ken. Like, if they're going to keep pushing this announcement back, that feels like it's only going to be good news coming for Woodruff's side of things.
It's actually going to be very good news. I heard your guy, Drew, say that he doesn't know if he's throwing or this and that. The Brewers are kind of like the Packers in many ways, where they keep things so tight-lipped, and all of a sudden they just drop a bomb on you, and everybody's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe that just a little bit of rumblings, and I'm not saying I'm an insider or anything like that, that Woodruff is ready to go. If you would have seen that, did you see the last game of when the Brewers won their 97? Did you see how many times they kept showing Woodruff walking around like a caged animal down in the dugout?
Well,
I mean,
I think
guy was
that
going.
If Woodruff's healthy, I mean, the team has, the sky is the limit, right? If they have Freddie and Woody ready to go and Priester at Game 3, I don't know if I necessarily think that it'd be Zastryzny gone then. Like, what's the point of having Quintana on the roster, right? If Woodruff is healthy.
Oh, no. Oh, God, no. You got to have Quintana on for one reason. I would take my starter guys before that go into my bullpen for the playoffs before I would take a bullpen guy.
Well, ideally, I agree with you, but these pitchers, man, they have routines. They have this stuff. They have ways they like to do things. Like, I wish it was that simple too, Ken, because I agree. Tommy? It's go ahead, get Quintana to come out of the pen or get Woodruff to come out of the pen, whatever. But they sometimes they don't like that stuff, Ken, and it's a player-driven league.
It might be, but here's the deal. You got a guy that's in the twilight of his career in Quintana. And just being in the playoffs, did you see how elated that guy was when they won the NL Central?
Yes.
Here, he's, like he said, I want to contribute any way I can. Yes, he's been a starter his whole career, but these guys also realize where they can contribute. And that means if somebody struggles, you can bring in a Quintana, you can bring in a Mizorowski, you can, I mean, the sky is the limit with this bullpen, and the way that Murph manages his team, Tommy, is outstanding. We've seen it all year. Yes, they've taken their foot off the gas here the last few weeks, but that's all for staying healthy, getting ready, and knowing what they know, in meaning inside the clubhouse. So I think what you're going to see is a steady dose of these guys mentally prepared, mentally ready, and strength-wise, conditioning-wise. They cannot wait to get the Cubs.
I love it.
They can't wait to put 7 or 8 runs on them a game and just put them down right away, because that's what we're going to see, baby.
I hope
this team
so.
is for real. World Series bound.
Okay, Ken, don't be a stranger. Listening all week. Have a good one, my man.
Yeah.
There he is. Ken in the Falls jumps off. You can jump on the Fan Guest hotline, or the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line, 414-677-1250. Send in some of your playoff takes, playoff predictions. I'll read all of them as we are going to do this all week here in place of the Fan Post-Game Show from 5 to 6. I want to talk Brewers baseball, man. I want to talk Brewers baseball. I want to get you guys some sound here. Drew is going to join us again in that second segment, but first, I want to play some of Isaac Collins. He sent over Isaac Collins speaking on the postseason ahead. He obviously was a huge part of getting to this point, but tailed off a little bit at the end, right? Here is some Isaac Collins speaking on the Brewers in the postseason.
Get on the right track. Get ahead of everything. That's really important. Leading the league in wins and getting that number 1 seed is huge. And we deserve this bye and we deserve the home field advantage.
What can you just say about this team's chemistry and how that'll help fuel you guys heading into October?
We got a great group of guys. We all care for each other. We've been through ups and downs throughout this year, but we've always stuck together, and that's what you need to make a playoff run. So we definitely have the right group of guys here, and just it's going to come down to executing.
It's going to come down to executing. We got the right group of guys. I mean, that question again, just like, so I'm gonna laugh at this when I bring it up with Drew, right? Where it's like, chemistry is how this team has operated, it feels like, the entire season, right? And execution is really the other part of it. It's all about how can this collective group execute to go 1-0 every day, the mantra of Mr. Murphy. And Isaac Collins getting asked about the chemistry of this group of players, really, that seems to be the only true advantage the Brewers have over anyone. The power of friendship, right? The pick up the next guy. Every team can preach it, but how many can act upon that? And it felt like, as far as regular season performance goes, the Brewers have that edge on every other team in the National League and every other team heading into the postseason. Exhibit A, their superstar, their guy, Christian Yelich. Like, he's the most humble superstar you can find in this league, and his superstar might be a stretch on Yelich. And I do think that he is the best player on the best team's roster right now. No argument about that. But as far as face of the league or marketability, like, he's not trying to do that. He's trying to win baseball games. Bryce Terang, very overlooked across Major League Baseball. He's got a 5.5 WAR season. That's a ridiculous year for a second baseman. Freddie Peralta, has there been a quieter top 3 Cy Young finisher in MLB history? I mean, I don't have the list in front of me, but no one talking about Freddie Peralta as far as National League goes. This team doesn't want headlines. They want the guys in the room to believe in them, right? And that has been this entire season of Brewers baseball, right? We're these ragtag group of guys. We got to do things differently in Milwaukee here. No one knows who we are. Chemistry is probably the only real advantage this team has. They don't have power on anyone. They put the ball in play pretty well, I guess, but they, Batting average, does anyone really care about that? Their pitching, starting pitching, it feels like there's always something to say, like, at least could you go more, right? They were banged up in the relief appearances all September. As far as advantage goes, every single person is going to think the advantage in all the tangibles is for the opposing team. Brewers have to execute and be together more than any other team does because they don't have a Shohei Ohtani. They don't have a Bryce Harper. They don't have the Cubs, Kyle Tucker, right? Anything like that. They don't have the Pete Crow Armstrong guy. Pete Crow Armstrong got more national buzz for having a very mediocre season that was highlighted by fantastic defensive play than anyone else on this Brewers team in the national media. So, yeah, I think that chemistry and execution is the only advantage the Brewers have right now. On the other side, I'll be joined again by Drew Wagner. He said there's so much news to get to. He didn't, actually. He was running back up saying it was not as fun as he hoped it was going to be. But he'll join us on the other side. It is the Fan Postseason Preview Show. Tommy Wirtz, Drew Wagner, coming up on 1250 AM, 105.7 FM The Fan, on the free Odyssey and iHeart apps. Welcome back to the Fan Playoff Preview Show. Tommy Wirtz, Drew Wagner joining us again back here. Thanks to Ken in the Falls for popping on, talking a little Brewers baseball. Mr. Wagner, sounds like there isn't a lot to report if you're back as quickly as you were.
No, but the most interesting portion of the day just got started. I may just stay here the rest of the night.
What's going on?
Grounds crew is working the field.
Ryan Woodley. Say hi to Ryan Woodley for me. He might not remember who I am, but I know who Ryan Woodley is. We're connected on LinkedIn.
Let me guess. Wilmer?
No, I was dude, my first job in sports was grounds crew for the Brewers.
That's awesome. We were talking earlier this season because they let a former Brewers reporter who shall remain nameless come back and throw out a first pitch in honor of his retirement 2 years ago, and we were talking about what our retirement gift would be instead of throwing a first pitch, and we figured it out. Like Jack would want like 5 minutes of access into the Brewers, statistical database, and I don't remember. I think Adams was like something about the spread. Someone else said Bernie's slide. I'm like, I would like to drag the infield, like in honor of his 30 years wasting his life covering Major League Baseball. Andrew Wagner will drag the infield. Like that would be the greatest thing in the world.
They've gotten soft now. I mean, we used to run with the metal chains in shorts from right field. Now they have these brooms that they come out from the dugout in. I mean, we used to sprint down when I was a part of this organization. And now, like I said, they've just gotten soft, Drew. I'm glad everything's working out. I still know a bunch of the people that are still there. I know Dusty's still there. Monty, I'm pretty sure as well. I got a bunch of people. Tyler Cheddar.
Cheddar's down there working it right now.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, they do an awesome job. Really, they do pride themselves in being one of the best in the biz, and Ryan Woodley continuing to execute that for sure. It is Tommy Wirtz, Drew Wagner here on the Fan Playoff Preview Show. So Drew, like no one was available on this back end here. Nothing exciting to report back
on.
It
was those guys pretty much hauled off. I grabbed Matt Erickson for a story that I'm doing on Ricky Weeks. It'll be coming out hopefully later this week that I've been working on for a while. And it was just kind of grab who you need. But those dudes, they were ready to get out of here and have a night off. And you know what? Honestly, you don't blame them.
Right. It's been a long day. I'm sure they've been there for a few hours, ready to get out of there, rest a little bit during this time in which they are kind of supposed to be resting as well. And Drew, looking ahead, though, at this upcoming series with whoever it may be, whether it is the Cubs or the Padres, just looking at matchups-wise, which one do you think provides the better series, just from an entertainment standpoint, and which one do you think provides the best matchup for the Milwaukee Brewers in this series, if you were to look at the two teams?
It's hard to say. I tweeted this out yesterday. The Brewers had basically dominated the playoff field in both leagues this year. The only AL team they lost the season series to was obviously the Yankees. Or they also lost to Cleveland. Because Cleveland snuck in there last second. They were 1-2 against Cleveland, 0-3 against the Yankees. Other than that, they dominated the field. The only two teams that the Brewers did not win their season series against in the entire playoff field just so happened to be the two teams that are vying for a chance to face the Brewers in the next round. Listen, I think from an entertainment standpoint, from a storyline and narrative standpoint, and the hot takes, obviously the Cubs would be the story. The rivalry, Counsell, Murphy, all that stuff. I think I think both matchups are going to be very difficult for the Brewers. I mean, the Padres have handled their business against the Brewers pretty well all season, both in the former incarnation of the team and the post-trade deadline. And maybe there's some recency bias. You played them. Maybe you didn't show them everything that you had because you had it locked up and you knew it was coming. Maybe. But it's hard to do in baseball. The Cubs, listen, there's no secrets. No one knows. There's nothing new that these teams don't know about. You played them 13 times this year, and you didn't always play them well. That's the thing. The Cubs, they play similar to the Brewers, where they play very good defense and they can have good pitching, and they just happen to have a hell of a lot of pop in their offense. Can the Brewers pitching keep those bats at bay? That would be the biggest thing in that matchup. And I tell you, like I have a hard time figuring out who to pick if it is a Brewers Cubs NLDS.
Well, and Drew, when talking about the Brewers heading into the postseason, a lot of things depending on, a lot of things depend on what translates to October, right? And I look at the scores today, and they're very low scoring, right? It's 3-1 that Cubs game, and 2-1 in Detroit and Cleveland. And when you see those numbers, it really makes you think that feels optimistic for the Brewers if these games are low-scoring games, right? Because they've been so well pitching, whether it is through the starters or through relievers. And the offense, that's the biggest question, right? Will the Brewers' offense translate to the postseason? It's get on base. It's cause havoc on the base paths. And last year, they know all too well that power, for right now, has still been the biggest winner in the postseason.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, you look what the Cubs did today. You know, they scored 2 runs. They're both or 3 runs, excuse me. 2 of them coming off the home run. I didn't see the Cleveland Detroit game, so I think one of them was scored on like a score from second base, a little small ball action.
Yeah, I mean, all you have to know is Scooble is nasty from that game.
Exactly.
That's basically it.
I mean, listen, you're gonna have to hit home runs in the postseason. I stand by my belief that the Brewers can. They are good at the timely home run because they do put pressure on a pitcher to make certain pitches, and they work counts deep enough where eventually a pitcher has to throw one down the middle. We've seen that the power is there. We've seen it from Yelich. We've seen it from Terang. We've seen it from Frelick at times. We've obviously seen it from Contreras, from Jake Bauers, even Danny Jansen when he's in there. They have the ability to hit home runs. Can they be patient enough to get the pitch to do it in the postseason when let's face it, you're facing the best of the best? That's the $20 million question. Can you be able to put together pressure innings like you have been against the regular season? It's easy to do against some pitchers, or I should say easier to do against some pitchers. But when you're going up against a bona fide ace every single night, it's pretty tough. The thing is, if you can find a way to get these pitch counts up and get into bullpens early, that's where the Brewers can really make their noise.
Drew, you're one of your I don't know, not co-workers, but best friends, I guess is a better way to put it. Kurt Hogue, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, had a good article out here today. Basically, Impossible. In his mind, ranking, I did laugh at the loading screen tweet that you put out today. That one was pretty good. Great article, Kurt Hogue. But basically, he ranked his top 26, right? He gave out a roster prediction yesterday. Yeah. We'll do some roster predictions later on in the week on this show. And then he ranked 26-1, right? And the name that jumps out, it has to on this list, is Jake Bauers, who you just mentioned. And he's put at 14 on this list, while Sal Frelick was put at 15th on his list. He is putting Jake Bauers' importance higher on this list than a guy who almost hit 300 for this team in 2025. And that makes me think that he's not just going to be asked to take at bats during this series, Drew. He's going to be asked to start some games, it sounds like, with that logic.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me at all. I mean, he's been hitting the ball the last couple of weeks. I mean, we thought he was as good as gone when Rhys Hoskins came back. Then he got hot. And listen, they need that kind of pop. They need it. You know, he's one of their best options to get the ball over the wall. Yeah, I don't know how Kurt did his rankings. He was probably drinking, changing a diaper. Yeah. Who knows? But I could see where, listen, Jake Bauers is important on a team that power is I don't want to say lacking, but it's not plentiful. There is value on that. You need it. And he's one of those guys that can change the game with one swing of a bat.
Well, he tried to last year as well in that Mets series, thought that he would have an opportunity to do that. But we all know Pete Alonso came through in the end, looking to have a different result this season. The Milwaukee Brewers, as this weekend, it's either going to be the Cubs or the Padres. It's going to be the Cubs. I mean, just the story, right?
Yeah.
That's baseball.
I mean, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I would be hard to see the Cubs not advancing out of that one. But
well,
again,
Drew, I said at the beginning too that no team since 2022 has lost game one and advanced to the DS in this new wild card format. So the Brewers tried again last year, but they did not do it. It is history so far if someone does. Drew, we'll do it again tomorrow. You can be on video or in studio. What are you thinking?
Probably come in studio tomorrow.
All right, yeah, why not? We'll have a good time. Drew, have a good rest of your night. I'll close us out here, my friend.
Take care.
There he is, Drew Wagner, Forbes Sports. He'll join us all week as we will have the Fan Postseason Preview show on the Fan in place of the Fan Postgame show. Don't worry, the Postgame show's not gone, but let's talk Brewers, baby. Like Ken in the Fall said, this is not just a team that squeaked in. It's the best record in the postseason with a lot of hopes as well. 97 wins. The number one seed in all of the postseason. Brewers baseball all week long here from 5 to 6 on the Fan. Don't forget, tune in tomorrow, 6 a.m., brand new lineup. We're on week number 2 of it, 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. inside Wisconsin Sports, 9 to noon with Kuhn, the Mason Crosby Show, Wisconsin Sports Daily. All of it here on the Fan. We'll do it again tomorrow, Milwaukee.